You know, it's like you see a headline that says January 6 rioter arrested. And you think to yourself, yeah, obviously, because they're fucking criminals. And the fact that honestly, no one in the media asked Republicans ad nauseum, do you think that Donald Trump should have blanketed a pardon to 1,500 people, some of which were found guilty of violent assault against police officers and defecating in the halls of Congress and et cetera, et cetera? They don't do that. But if you want questions ad nauseum on, let's say, Joe Biden's age, they're happy to run up the receipts on that. They're happy to belabor that point. But the fact that this is not the first January 6th rioter to be arrested again tells you that, yeah, you know who's comfortable inside of the Republican Party? You know who's comfortable inside of MAGA besides pedophiles? Oh, I don't know. Violent criminals. Just an idea, dear journalists. Maybe ask them questions about this and see how they twist themselves into a pretzel trying to figure out how, this makes Donald Trump look tough and look good. We know that these motherfuckers right now with their masks and now their ICE agents, that a lot of them came from January 6th. Just saying, because otherwise, why not reveal your face? Folks, it's Tuesday and I've already had it up to here. So grab your cocktails, grab your pets, grab whatever you can, and let's get into it. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show. Hello, damnation, and welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show. So happy that you are here. So we begin today with the news that dropped this morning, which is this. January 6th, U.S. Capitol rioter arrested for alleged threat to kill Hakeem Jeffries. Christopher Moynihan, pardoned by Trump for his role in the Capitol attack, allegedly threatened House Minority Leader. Because, of course, a man who was pardoned by Donald Trump for his conviction in the U.S. Capitol attack carried out by the Republican president's supporters in early 2021 has been arrested for allegedly threatening to kill the Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. This is according to the New York Times. Christopher Moynihan, 34, was arrested by New York State Police on a felony count of making terrorist threats, the agency announced. According to authorities, the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task alerted state police on October 18th that Moynihan of Clinton, New York, had made threats to kill a member of Congress. After what the police described as a thorough investigation, Moynihan was arrested and arraigned in court in Clinton. And like I said in my opening, here is where consistently corporate mainstream journalism fails and fails the American people. You see, if this were anybody else, the amount of questions that would be peppered at members of Congress every time that they got in front of a microphone, every time that they were on television talking about whatever it is, they would be asked about, do you agree with Donald Trump's pardoning of January 6 rioters who were violent? This is now the second or third. I don't even know what number we are up to. With those that are pardoned, were pardoned a couple of months ago, now being in jail again for another act of violence. What does that say about your party? Are these things that you uphold as values? Do you think that the American people deserve answers? These are the questions that I don't know, if I'm standing in front of, let's say, Mike Johnson, who loves a microphone and loves to stand up and give pressers on absolutely nothing. If I am standing in front of Chip Roy, if I'm standing in front of any of these blowhards that love to hear themselves speak and love to twist themselves into knots all so that they can curry favor of their daddy, I would be asking them all types of questions. I'd be asking them about, oh, I don't know, another MAGA supporter or religious leader who is now once again so outwardly hateful against gay people has now been arrested for what? Ah, that's right, raping a child again. What does it say about your party that it seems that you are filled with child rapists and violent criminals and white nationalists who love to text each other back and forth their love of Hitler? What does that say about your party that these people are so comfortable inside of your tent? Is this the kind of recruiting that you all do? Like, I would be on their motherfucking ass. But nope, not any of these supposed journalists. They stick to the facts and all and allow these people to get off scot-free. The people that absolutely cheerlead on the type of violence that we are seeing play out. But they want to talk all about anti-fascists. They want to talk all about this made up group of people that are funded by George Soros, that all 7 million people that protested over the weekend, they were paid $500 a piece. Did you all cash your checks? Like, it's just, I mean, at this point, it's just so fucking exhausting. Do your job. Or pretend to do your job. It's not that hard. Speaking of which, just here's yet another headline, this time from The Guardian, about a nominee of Donald Trump. Trump's nomination of Paul Ingrassia loses Republican support following racist text messages. I mean, it's funny because Politico must have created an entire department designated to researching and unearthing Republican text messages. I mean, that would keep anybody busy, right? So between, again, the rape jokes, the pedophilia, the violence, the love of Hitler, right? The racism, like, you would be busy surely all the goddamn time. So listen to this. Only the best people are around Donald Trump, y'all. Only the best people. So Trump's nomination of a conservative attorney and commentator to oversee federal whistleblower protections appeared to be collapsing after his racist text messages surfaced this week, and the Republican Senate leader suggested the White House should withdraw the pick. Paul Ingrassia, currently a White House liaison at the Department of Homeland Security, previously advocated for, hold on to your hats, folks, making January 6th a national holiday and publicly question whether October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack was a psyop. But the fans were flamed again on Monday after Politico reported text messages in which Ingrassia allegedly described himself as having a, quote, Nazi streak, and suggested Martin Luther King Jr. Day should be, quote, tossed into the seventh circle of hell. Only the best people, right? And again, one person, interesting. Two people, a pattern. All of them. And of course, JD Vance is not going to be asked about this. I'm sure that he would just shrug it off and tell us that Ingrassia, was just a kid, even though he's probably a man in his fucking 40s. I swear to you, y'all, it is alarming to me that no one thinks to ask the consistent questions that show a pattern of behavior inside of MAGA. Nobody asks these questions, right? And then if they do, They allow these motherfuckers to get off scot-free. Oh, well, I didn't. Oh, because what is, let me ask you this. What is Mike Johnson's favorite reply when asked about something he doesn't want to answer? Oh, I didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. Right? He plays dumb. And knowing this, knowing that that is always his pattern response, why are you not prepared? Oh, what is your reaction to this clip? And play it. Oh, Speaker Johnson, you're saying that you haven't heard this? Oh, interesting. I have it up on my phone right now. Take a moment. I wish that real journalism existed. I do. I long for the day. I long for the day when people really gave a shit about their jobs and showing the American people exactly who these people are to your core. Right? This is a pattern of behavior. This is not a bug, right? This is who they are. They are racist. They are misogynistic. They are anti Semitic. They are transphobic. They are homophobic. They are Islamophobic. They are a hateful group of people. I swear to God. And they age like fucking milk in the sun. Because God doesn't like ugly. Do you know what I'm saying? When you look at some of these people, like the other. There was another man recently, right, who was arrested out in Atlanta Hartfield Airport, right? I saw the man's age, white man, said that he was 49. Has to be lying. Has to be lying, right? You look at Donald Trump's fluffer, right? Laura Loomer. She's supposed to be, I think, in her 30s. And I'm like, in what world? In what world? Stephen Miller evidently is younger than I am. How? How? Whew, good Lord. At least I can rest assured on that. So, where are we, folks? We are about 4 weeks into this government shutdown. And it is clear that we're not ending this anytime soon. Or let me rephrase that, because again, words matter. Republicans are not ending this shutdown anytime soon. New York Times, shutdown with no clear end poses new economic threat, because as if we don't have enough threats coming our way on a regular basis. And this is what they break down. As Washington's stalemate continues into its fourth week with no end in sight, it's looking like this could become one of America's longest funding lapses. During the previous record holder, a 34-day closure, and remind you, who was president of the United States in 2018? I mean, he may not know, right? Because he doesn't. Sundowning and all. But Donald Trump was president in 2018. Congress passed enough appropriation bills to keep more of the government funded. This time, none of them have passed. And the White House is attempting to lay off thousands of people and threatening to withhold back pay for furloughed workers, despite a 2019, law. But what are laws when you're living in the midst of hell? Requiring that they are paid. That would obviously make it a larger macroeconomic impact, said Michael Zink, a director on the United States economics team at S&P Global Market Intelligence. Then they go on to write, there are services those workers aren't providing, including national park tours and new drug reviews that support commerce. For many businesses, the timing couldn't be worse, with the holiday season approaching and economic uncertainty already high. They go on to write this. If you're worried about the potential for those indirect impacts, those only increase the longer the shutdown goes on. Economists estimate that the shutdown will trim between 0.1 and 0.2 percentage points off annual growth in economic output for each week it drags on. That amounts to between, folks, 7.6 billion and 15.2 billion a week, based on hours that government employees aren't working. This is according to Oxford Economics. The 2018 shutdown trimmed slightly less than zero point 0.1 percentage points off annual growth per week, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. And I saw some reports that said that, oh, it was 400 million. And I thought that that was disgusting. Now we're talking about billions of dollars a week that this is actually costing the American people. All the while, Donald Trump builds his vanity project. He builds this obscenely disgusting, gaudy ballroom after destroying parts of our American history because he thinks that the White House is his fucking house. And my God, let me just do an aside for a moment. Because I said this yesterday, but then I got off air and the level of angry that I was at the images that came out of the destruction of the White House. And I talked about this today with Ahmed Baba on the Fire Pit over on Substack. So if you have not checked out that interview yet, it is up now at the Damn Digest on Substack. And I had to talk about, because sometimes you are struck by such grief at the hands of this abusive fucking man that it's incomprehensible the way that it's going to impact you. And this is the point, right? But I realized today, I said, Donald Trump is just a classic fucking abuser, right? Like destroying everything that you hold dear, making you live on eggshells, like not knowing what is going to be coming next. I recognize, and I said this today in the interview with Ahmed Baba, I said, this is Donald Trump's tantrum and reaction to 7 million Americans marching against him. You see, Donald Trump lives inside of a well-crafted and weaved fucking bubble, right? That is designed by his sycophants. And he believes, right? Because they tell him, you're the strongest, you're the biggest, you're the most successful president, and you're the sexiest and the tallest, and just on and on and on, fluffing his fat ass, right? Over and over again. So when Donald Trump is actually met with reality, even for a brief moment, as it was on Saturday at No Kings, and you see that every paper, of course, outside of the New York Times, is covering the fact that all of these people hate you, that there are pictures of you in giant, blown up in a diaper, that you are mocked and ridiculed, not just in this country, but around the world, that you can't turn away from that no matter how much spin that they would like to conjure in order to cater to Donald Trump's feelings, that you can't convince us that 7 million people were paid to go out and protest. No, that's just how much they hate your ass. Because when you look, right, you want to call it a Democratic hoax, you want to call it all of these things. Ain't nobody was out in mass protesting Reagan in the way that they're protesting Donald Trump. Nobody was protesting George W. or H.W. Bush in the way that they are. No other president has been met with this kind of disgust other than Donald Trump in his first term. And so when you puncture this bubble, he can't take it. And so what does he do? Destroys everything around him. Like a little kid that just takes a hammer and rips everything apart and rips everything. I'll show you. And that's what he did to the East Wing. When I said this earlier, I said, I didn't know that I had such feelings linked to the White House, a place that I've had the great honor of visiting numerous amounts of times in both the Obama and Biden presidency. The feeling that you have when you were walking into the East Wing and the pictures that were greeted, and I could hear the military band playing and welcoming people into your house, the people's house. Donald Trump doesn't know anything about history. He doesn't know anything about creation. He's never created anything but trauma in his entire fucking life. Everything that he touches turns to shit. And so this is just part and parcel. And I am sick to death at what history has been lost and what will continue to be paved over and ruined because of this man. And you should feel the same way too. Because whether or not you've had the ability to step foot inside of the White House, it has been a symbol to the world, even knowing that that house was built by enslaved Africans. The absolute just complexity and layers that America is. Donald Trump just shit on it like he tried to do with that juvenile AI video. That is who that man is in a fucking nutshell, and it is pathetic. Nonetheless, even as pathetic as he is, even as small as he is, it's still causing great harm. We are getting ready to enter into the winter months. And now, because of this government shutdown, fears of heat rationing for millions in the US as shutdown delays energy aid. And this is the story. Millions of Americans, millions, folks, not millions of Democrats, not millions of Republicans or independents, millions of Americans face having to ration heating this winter as the US federal government shutdown and mass layoffs by the Trump administration cause unprecedented delays in getting energy assistance aid to low-income households. A group that helps people pay energy bills has warned. Congress approved about $4 billion for the low-income home energy assistance program, LIHEAP, after Trump's proposal to cancel the life-saving heating and cooling scheme in this year's budget was ultimately unsuccessful. Because he's not just the let them eat cake, he's like, let them freeze to death. The man is so uncaring, so fucking callous and disgusting. But as they go on, with winter fast approaching, lawmakers have failed to reach a funding deal and appropriations remain stalled, which threaten to leave the most vulnerable families without critical energy aid as electricity and gas bills surge. No family should be forced to choose between heat and food because of a federal funding delay. If the money isn't released soon, it will cause real harm and people will suffer. And all of this is so unnecessary. I don't understand the desire to run for office, to be elected to represent your constituents and then to do absolutely nothing to help them, just to not give a damn at all. And I'm telling you, like, I've been in the game a long fucking time. And I remember there was a time Republicans are not good people, but they weren't heartless. You could make compromises and pass legislation that ensured that the most vulnerable among us got what they needed. But that's not who this party is now. I continue to say it, and I will say it over and over again. This is a party of sociopaths. This is a party of people who really, truly hate this country, hate what it stands for, hate its inhabitants, and just want to take, and hurt as much as they possibly can. And the thing is, I would say, well, they'll get their just dues come midterms. No, they won't. Because in June, the Supreme Court is going to finish gutting the Voting Rights Act under John Roberts, handing them an extraordinary supermajority in the House, and they'll never have to work for a vote again. The gerrymandering, the redistricting, it will all have been for the benefit of them ruling by fiat. They won't do town halls. They won't give a fuck about their constituents. My thing is, I'm just curious as to how long that they think that that's going to go for. How long before you're unwelcome in your home districts, in your states? Because I say these motherfuckers shouldn't be comfortable anywhere that they go. They should be made to feel uncomfortable, to be embarrassed, to be heckled, to be protested every time that they step foot outside of their homes. You don't care about us and our well-being? I don't give a shit about you. That's what I would do. Because I'm telling you, at a certain point, all of this is going to fall down. I don't know if I'll be alive to see it. I don't know if you'll be alive to see it. But I do know history is our guide. This only goes but so far before it crashes entirely and burns. And then you will listen to the same people who stood up, puffed out chests, championing Donald Trump's sociopathic policies, saying all of a sudden, oh no, I was always the lone voice in the room. All I'm saying, folks, have a long memory. Hold on to this. Because I've always joked that Americans have the memory of a gnat. This is why politicians get away with the hot shit that they do, because they know most people are too busy working 1, 2, 3 jobs just to put food on the table, just to send their kids to school. So they're not paying attention to the day-to-day. They think that they vote and they're represented. And that's what politicians depend on. Your ignorance. You being too busy to hold their feet to the fire. And by the time that you recognize that they're the cause of your awful footing in life, it's too late. They've already been in office for decades and gerrymandered the shit out of their districts. And so even if only 10% of the people come out and vote for them, they know that their jobs are secure. And the thing is that these politicians should feel as insecure in their jobs as the rest of us feel in ours. There should be watch groups. Folks that are reporting back to the people in your town, in your space. What has Representative so-and-so done for us lately? Let me give you a list of the ways in which they have sided with the billionaires, sided with their donors, and left you out in the cold. This is what the opposition is supposed to do. This is what Democrats are supposed to do, but you know how good they are at telling a story. In the meantime, while all of this is happening, while we're on week 4 of this government shutdown, while you are hearing, I'm certain, from friends and colleagues about how travel is being disrupted because air traffic controllers aren't showing up to work, because why would you? You're not getting paid and you're not being told that you're going to receive your back pay. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite is being said. So I'd call out sick too. But the fact is that these delays, these hiccups are going to get worse. And we are headed into the holiday season. But we also have to remember, what's the real reason why Mike Johnson is keeping the House out? Well, Jamie Raskin brings it to you straight, as he always does. And I'll let you hear it directly from him.
It was my honor and it was my pleasure to be accompanied today by our new colleague, Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva from the great state of Arizona. She accompanied me to the floor. I tried to get recognition. There was no other business today. I was standing directly opposite the acting speaker for the day, Mr. Herodopoulos. The moment the Pledge of Allegiance was over, I asked for recognition because I wanted to move a unanimous consent motion that the Speaker of the House be directed to move on the next legislative day, tomorrow, to swear in Ms. Grijalva, and yet he turned away, he pretended he didn't notice me, and he scurried out of the room, which to me is disgraceful. We need to act on this. Ms. Grijalva's hundreds of thousands of constituents deserve to be represented in Congress. And even during these pro forma sessions, all of us who are members of Congress, including Congresswoman-elect Grijalva, can introduce legislation. But Ms. Grijalva, as I understand it, I'll let her tell you about it, she is not able to do constituent work for her constituents. We are trying to get in touch with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the VA every day on behalf of our constituents. Meantime, she's got constituent requests piling up on a desk, and I'd be very interested to hear you talk, Adelita, about what resources you have and what resources you don't have. But we consider you an elected member of Congress. There's no right or power that's been invoked by Speaker Johnson as to why he continues to refuse to swear her in.
And we all know that the reason he is not swearing her in is because she is the 218th vote to release the Epstein files. And if you watch today, Chip Roy was out saying that, oh, on his committee, they did a thorough investigation and Donald Trump is nowhere in the Epstein files, but it's all Bill Clinton. Oh, right. So we're supposed to take your word for it? I don't give a fuck who is in the Epstein files. I don't care what party they're with. I don't care what industry they're in. Release the fucking files, because we all know that if they exonerated Donald Trump, then Donald Trump would have been selling them on Truth Social. He would have been tap dancing and holding rallies all around the country to show you every single Democrat that is involved in the Epstein files. He'd be fundraising off of it. But we know that they think that the rest of us are fucking dumb and that we're just going to take their word for it. They're lying asses. We're just going to take their word for it. Miss me with it. And speaking of which, I don't even know if you can consider this good news, right? Knowing that we have this Supreme Court decision that is looming over us. And if we didn't, then I would have better feelings about the announcement, right? With regard to my favorite guy on CNN. I don't even watch CNN, but I only watch Harry Enton's clips. Talking about where the polling is right now with Democrats and comparing it to prior polling around this time in a midterm cycle. So take a listen to what Harry says. And again, you tell me if you're going to be excited by this or not.
Polling just out was really eye-popping to me.
It was shocking to me, John, and it comes down to party identification. Do you identify as a Democrat or as a Republican? And traditionally speaking, this is a metric that has been quite telling of elections, and we'll get into that a little bit. Party ID margin, Dem versus Republicans. Specifically, I'm talking about Gallup. Back in Q1 of 2025, it was a tie. Look at how much Democrats have gained on this metric, according to Gallup. Their latest metric, Democrats are ahead by 7 points. That is a 7-point movement to the left. I looked at some other pollsters as well to see if there was similar movement. Among Quinnipiac, it was +1 Republican. And you can see, again, movement to the left, Democrats +3. You know, last year, going into the 2024 presidential election, that was the rare time in which Republicans actually held a lead in Gallup's party ID measure. That Republican lead is no more. Adios, amigos, eliminated. Now Democrats ahead by 7 points, at least according to Gallup.
And this is when pollsters call and ask you for your party. Basically, this is self-reporting of what party you're in, and now you're seeing this 7-point swing in what people are saying in this. And historically, what has that meant?
Yeah, okay. What does it matter when Democrats have a lead on party ID at this particular point in midterm cycles? Well, I want you to take a look back at some past midterm cycles. Okay, right now we got the Democrats ahead by 7. You go back 4 years ago, the Democrats were only ahead by 1 point. This doesn't look anything like what we had at this point going into the 2022 midterm cycle. It looks much more like what we had going into the 2018 midterm cycle, in which Democrats were ahead by 4 points. They're actually doing better at this point than they were doing during the 2018 cycle. If you average in the Quinnipiac, it's about the same. But at this particular point, what you're seeing is Democrats doing considerably better than they did back in the 2022 midterm cycle. And more than that, Democrats have been gaining throughout this year compared to what we saw back in the 2021 year, in which we saw Republicans gaining during the year. And what we've ended up with in Q3 is Democrats ahead by 7, much better than the position that they had going into 2022 when they were only ahead by 1 point in Q3 of 2021.
So 4 points was a good year for Democrats in 2018. 1 point was a bad year for Democrats in 2022. The number 7, where does that rank? What does that tell us about how
what
they
is that? Exactly right. All right, so we have 2022 midterm, we have 2018 midterm. Now let's go all the way back. We'll jump in the DeLorean and essentially look at party ID advantages in midterms. When the GOP gains House seats, look at this. Democrats were ahead by only a point. When the Dems gain House seats, look at this. Democrats are ahead by 8 points. Democrats are up by 7 right now. If this 7-point lead holds in the next year and it averages out next year in 2026, Democrats +7, there is no historical precedent for Republicans actually gaining House seats. The Democrats gain in every year. That looks like what Gallup shows right now.
And so why do I care about this? A couple of things. One, I've been saying we're not having midterm elections, right? Donald Trump is going to invoke the Insurrection Act. He is stationing troops all throughout the country in order to have them prepared, right, to turn on the American people. Why is Donald Trump doing this? Well, because he knows that his policies are wildly fucking unpopular. When it was revealed that Project 2025 was going to be their roadmap for a Trump administration, Donald Trump pretended not to know what anybody was talking about. Oh, I don't know what Project 2025 is. And of course, mainstream corporate media allowed him to play stupid, right? The fact is that Donald Trump is calling for Republicans to redraw their maps. Why? Because he knows that he does not have the same support that he did in 2024 right now. I told you yesterday, his poll numbers are at 37%. 37%. Any other president at this time in their term, just months from an election, are still hovering in the 50%. Donald Trump is only beating himself in his first term. He's not popular. People don't like him. And while Democrats are completely spineless and ineffectual, Republicans are showing themselves to be sociopathic. So if you have a choice between playing Russian roulette with Republicans, right, or keeping just enough of your nose above water as not to drown with Democrats, what are you going to fucking choose? That's the choice that the American people have. And so why am I playing this? Because I think that it's important. The intel that Donald Trump is getting is telling him, we can't win. You don't have the support. Of course, they don't say that because they're just architecting, creating another architect of a lie. But I said this today. If Donald Trump was as popular as he likes to believe that he is, he would be on an I told you so tour around this country, just having people flock into stadiums to applaud him, to cheer him on. Oh, he's a savior. Oh, he's the best thing. Donald Trump hasn't been at a rally in a long time. One, because he's on the sundown side, and two, because his own people are beginning to realize he's full of shit. Granted, it took them this long, but here we are. Here's also where we are. As if this motherfucker could not do anything worse. He is now demanding, and I'm sure he's going to get it, $230 million from the Justice Department to pay him for the past cases that we know that Merrick Garland absolutely fucking fumbled. He is demanding the Justice Department pay him $230 million in compensation for the federal investigations into him, according to people familiar with the matter, who added that any settlement might ultimately be approved by senior department officials who defended him or those in his orbit. The situation has no parallel in American history, as Trump, a presidential candidate, was pursued by federal law enforcement and eventually won the election, taking over the very government that must now review his claims. So it's just like, it's a fucking joke, and it's a farce. Do you know what else is a joke and a farce? ICE. According to The Atlantic, the title of this story is just wild. ICE's athletically allergic recruits. Push-ups, sit-ups, and a brisk jog pose a threat to Trump's deportation campaign. Well, I mean, is anybody shocked by this? I'm not. Trump plans to double the size of the ICE workforce, has met a foe more powerful than any activist group. It is decimating new recruits at the agency's training academy in Georgia. It is the ICE personal fitness test. Folks, I just find this absolutely atrocious. But if you see some of the pictures of the National Guardsmen that were sent from Texas to Chicago at the behest of Greg Abbott, I mean, you saw the photos. I'm not here to fat shame anybody, but I'm saying that if you're trying to be a warrior, as Pete Hegseth told them all to be, if you're a tough guy, alpha, maybe you shouldn't have a beer gut and be able to do the bare minimum. What is the bare minimum, you ask? Lord Jesus. I like show a show of hands in the chat right now and later on in the comment section for how many people can do this. To pass this physical fitness exam, recruits must do 15 push-ups and 32 sit-ups and run 1.5 miles in 14 minutes. Does this sound impossible to you? It doesn't to me. 15 push-ups, 32 sit-ups, and a mile and a half in 14 minutes? I mean, one career ICE official told the Atlantic reporter, it's pathetic. Yeah, I think that is probably the right word for it. Because according to the report, a third of those trying to become these ICE agents are failing. Now, because Trump officials have significantly they've eased the hiring process. Nothing to be said about a psych evaluation, because many people who cannot even light exercise are getting job offers that may have to be revoked or altered once they get to the training facility. An email from ICE headquarters to the agency's top officials on October 5th lamented that a considerable amount of athletically allergic candidates had been showing up to the academy. They had misrepresented or fucking lied that their physical condition about their physical condition on application forms. I wonder where they got that from. Much in the way that Donald Trump tried to convince us that he was like 200 pounds of muscle, that his like fucking, I don't know where his doctor got his medical degree, from a Cracker Jack box or whatever. But, oh, they misrepresented? You mean the way that Donald Trump tries to convince us that he's an Adonis? These people are built just like that motherfucker, like a refrigerator, okay? And not like a refrigerator of muscle that you can't penetrate, like a refrigerator filled with fucking Jello. You can't get stupider. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you could try, but you can't. So we closed out today, before I get into Town Hall Tuesday, with this story that continues to just make me sick. Virginia Guffrey's book is out now. And while some of the men that she was trafficked to still remain anonymous, one that she was very adamant about including in the book is Prince Andrew. And now Prince Andrew, aside from rescinding his titles, right, and basically living in, a quiet life in a Windsor estate, he's now being investigated after leaked emails reveal that he wanted to dig up dirt on Virginia. Authorities are actively looking into allegations that Prince Andrew attempted to uncover information about Virginia Guffrey, who has accused the royal of sexual assault prior to her death. Leaked email correspondence suggests that Andrew, 65, asked his police protection officer, a taxpayer-funded position, to uncover personal information about Guffrey over a decade ago, and provided the officer with her social security number and date of birth in order to do so, according to the BBC and The Guardian. The leaked emails were sent just before a photo of Andrew and an underage Guffrey, who died by suicide in April at 41, surfaced in 2011, per The Guardian. There is no suggestion the officer complied with the royals' request, the outlet reported. A spokesperson for the Metropolitan Police told People, "We are aware of media reporting and are actively looking into the claims that were made." I will not be able to read Virginia's book because there is a certain level of trauma that I just can't ingest. I encourage those who have a stronger threshold to purchase her book and to read it. But I'm going to be honest about the limits that I have. But the clippings that have come out, she was trafficked to 36 men that, according to her book, Nobody's Girl, Prince Andrew before their first sexual encounter, guessed her age and knew that she was 17 at the time. She talked about members of Congress, a governor, a prime minister, not mentioning the country of origin. The trauma, the abuse, I mean, the fact that her father allegedly began abusing her at like the age of 7 and was receiving payments from Epstein, and her brother corroborates the fact that there were times when her father came into money and would buy things like boats. It's so sickening. And I continue to say that, like, I don't care what party these men are from. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care what fucking titles they have. They should all be brought down. And the fact that Prince Andrew, all he's given up is his fucking title, but not his wealth, not his lifestyle, and not his fucking freedom is disgusting. But this is how little, not only this country, but the world thinks about girls and women. And Donald Trump and Epstein, they knew this. They knew that their power, their privilege, their whiteness would always protect them. And for Epstein, even in the grave. I pray that the women that continue to speak out, the victims who continue to show their absolute courage and bravery, I do hope that they release their own list. But what we know to be true in this country is that it is unlikely that they will be believed. Maybe now, because of how long that this has been dragging out for, maybe they will. But we know that this list is as bipartisan as you could possibly get. And every single one of those men deserve to have their lives ruined the way that they ruined these children. You know, I don't know if she really committed suicide. I do know that she is no longer with us. And I pray that she has found some type of peace. Because my God. All right, dear friends, it is Tuesday, and that means that it is time for Town Hall Tuesday. And for those that are new here, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell so that you never miss an episode. I never put any of my content behind a paywall, but your subscription will help me get to the 40,000 that I'm trying to get to before the end of this year. So do hit like, comment, and subscribe and feed the algorithm fairies. And so for Town Hall Tuesday, write your question in all capital, followed by your question. And I will do my best over the next several minutes to get to them. So without further ado, damnation, let's get to Town Hall Tuesday. All right, dear friends, please type question in all capital followed by your question, and I will do my best to answer over the next several minutes. Question: have you heard that Kerry Kennedy announced that Stephen Colbert is the recipient of the 1025 RFK Humanitarian Award for advocating for free speech and speaking truth to power? Norma, no, I did not hear that. And if that is the case, that is very exciting, and he should have been named for that because he's been speaking truth to power for a long time. Oh, you're so good. Electron. Question. Any further progress on your YouTube memberships? I'm anxious to join. I love it so much. I've decided that I'm actually going to launch the memberships in my birthday month, which is next month in November. So do stay tuned. You will be, of course, the first to know. Question at Dab44. Besides stricter vision testing, how can they improve the officiating in the WNBA? I don't know. But I got to tell you that when I was watching the finals games, I'm just like, the fact that they are like don't get even more hate than they do. I don't know what these people are looking at. I really don't. But the officiating really is a problem. Do people complain this much in the MNBA? I don't watch it, so I don't know. But like, is it as bad? Because it can't be. So I have no idea. Edward, question. I know that you are anti-gun, but isn't it ironic that we may need a Second Amendment solution to our orange dictator problem? Would you consider joining an LGBTQ militia? First, I am anti-gun. And I've spoken about it before, that people that I know who are also anti-gun have decided to learn how to shoot and are getting guns because of the environment and the climate that we're in. I would not consider joining a militia because, again, like, that's not who I am. But for those that are looking for, like-minded support or how to handle and use, a firearm, more power to them. Oh, this is an interesting question. Gatomania. I don't know. Question. Can a federal judge swear in Adelita from Arizona? I don't think so, because I think that responsibility falls to the Speaker of the House. But I do believe, and I don't know if it has been filed yet, but I do believe that the Arizona Attorney General may be filing suit against Mike Johnson for not swearing Adelita Grijalva in. So we'll stay tuned on that. Oh, Euphoria. Question. What's your favorite house plant? Well, if you can see behind me, if I move my microphone, I currently have roughly 35 plants in my house. And then if I showed you the patio, you would be like, wow. My girlfriend refers to it as jungle. You're not supposed to have favorites, but I really do love my monstera and my gigantic elephant ears. But I love all of them, but you did ask me for a favorite. No, I have not seen this. Giant paper panda. Have you seen the Russell Vought Shadow President ProPublica editorial? Nope, but I will be sure to look for that. I'm assuming, Spadina, that this is baseball. Are the Blue Jays baseball? If it is baseball, I don't watch it. But I will cheer for you if that is your team. Right? Exactly. I know that this isn't a question, but yes, in with the ice athletic allergic, you can walk a mile in 14 minutes, 150%. So if you can walk a mile in 14 minutes, you sure as fuck should be able to run a mile and a half in 14 minutes. I mean, that's not even challenging. Like, I think that I don't know, for those of you that are parents, do kids still do a physical fitness test? I don't know if they got rid of that, but I remember being in school and doing a physical fitness test once a year. I forget, like, it was in elementary school, middle school, whatever. And you have to meet a certain amount of push-ups and pull-ups and like all of these things. And you could essentially win like the presidential fitness award or whatever it was. But every kid needed to be assessed. And I'm pretty sure that, like, it was like, could you run, like a 10-minute mile or whatever, like that the criteria for children was higher. Just wild. Looking for a question. Who can we expect? Question, Mr. Duck Mallard. Question, who can we expect will be honored at the Kennedy Center in the future? I don't know, Hitler? They seem to love him in the chats. These Republicans. So maybe they'll posthumously honor him. So Gus, question, will America be able to hold successful mega tournaments, the World Cup and the Olympics, with the chaos currently going on in this country? I don't think so. But you know what I found interesting? So the other day, it was in the Middle East. Do you know who's been like riding around with Donald Trump? The president of FIFA, right? The president of FIFA responsible for the World Cup. He's been riding hard for Donald Trump for a while now. And so you would think that you would give a shit about your fans and the players from all over the country. Would you be bringing them to the United States where they could possibly be detained and deported to, I don't know, Uganda? But it's really interesting to me who all now is exposed as right wing and sociopathic. So no, I don't think that America can handle much these days, let alone a major event like that. And we will see, because is the World Cup next year? And obviously the Olympics are in 2028. So who knows if we even make it there. Karen, great question. Do Democrats have any strategy for countering the gutting of the Voting Rights Act? Not that I have seen. Not that I have seen. Question. Looking for final questions, dear friends. Yeah. Oh, I agree. Swim camp FIFA is wildly corrupt. Yeah, like didn't they have like multiple lawsuits against them with the last with the last World Cup and like the IOC and like all of these, because all of these people, they get these positions pay for play. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. It's so frustrating because it's just like, why aren't there ever any good people with integrity in charge? I just don't ever understand it. But I don't know. Oh, this is funny. Question. If you had to wear an inflatable costume, what would you pick? A unicorn. I don't even have to really think about it. A unicorn. I love them. What was their favorite sign on No Kings? Oh, I think I posted it yesterday. It was like, what was it? I think it was the older white lady that said, I would call Donald Trump a cunt, but they're deep and warm, and he is neither of those things. I thought that shit was hilarious. So that was my favorite one. Oh, this is really sweet. Thank you for asking, Merglet. Question. Last week you had a really rough day. Have you been taking care of yourself to not get that low again? Yes, I have. I spent a lot of time in nature over the weekend, like went and spent like hours and hours in a park by my house, went on nice walks, just spent a lot of time outside, and I felt so much better. And yeah, I try, I'm a deep empath. And so what happens, like people, sometimes think that when they see me, filled with rage and I'm yelling or I'm cursing or whatever, that like that's performative. No, that's actually how I am. And it's exhausting because I care so much. Like the picture yesterday of the White House gutted me. Like I felt so sad. It was like, I don't know if somebody had taken a sledgehammer to like, my own home. Like it was just, so yes, I do my best to try and take care of myself. I meditate, I walk, I work out. I spend time with friends, do all of the things, but sometimes it just does get incredibly overwhelming. So, Coming up on the last question. Let's see if we can get to one. Question. Last one. Is Mamdani shifting center like I heard? Not that I have heard at all. Not that I have seen in any of his interviews. Not that I saw in that debate. He is standing 10 toes down on his beliefs, and that's why his approval ratings are through the roof. And I hope that in the next couple of weeks, we will be calling him Mayor Mamdani. All right, folks, that is it for me today here on the Danielle Moodie Show. I want to thank NJ Goes South. Thank you so much for your generous donation today. Really, really appreciate it. Every single dollar, like I say, goes a long way, allowing an independent like me to provide you with the kind of information and coverage with integrity and passion that I do. So thank you for that generosity. PJ, as always, coming in deep. Appreciate you as well. K Panda, thank you so much from Canada. As always, appreciate you. Susan, Susan, good reminder. Virtual call tonight, folks. So, what I've been talking about here is that what comes after No Kings? One day of demonstration is incredible. It showed numbers, it showed power, but what comes next? And so tonight there is a virtual call, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can go to nokings.org. And I encourage folks to do that, figure out where you can plug in and what you can continue to do, because it's going to take more than one day of action in order for us to get this regime out. So again, thank you so much. Jan Goodwin, appreciate you. Corey, thank you so much. French Cutie Pie, appreciate you so very much. Thank you, guys. I will be back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow is Wednesday, which means that 12 p.m. Eastern on Substack, I am with Jared Yates Sexton for our weekly check-in show. So do check that out. And then I'm with Waj at 3 p.m., I believe, for our midweek Democracy-ish check-in, also on Substack. And then back here at 5 p.m. Eastern with all of you. As always, dear friends, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane. And in these incredibly dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. I will see you tomorrow all over the place. Holla at you, girl.